Micron, which we just talked about the fab, they started in Idaho. They got an incredible backstory, by the way. The reason it's founded in Idaho was the two brother founders wanted to start a chip company because they saw Japan was crushing it, and they lived in Idaho. And when you want to raise money in Idaho, you have to go to the richest people in Idaho, and they're all farmers. So they went to one of the largest potato farmers in the world.
I was going to say as a joke, but legit potato farmer. That's incredible.
J.R. Simplot. This guy at one point supplied a third of McDonald's potatoes. So in his 70s, but I'll give you guys the insane insight he made. Potato farming is a skill business for a commodity product. That's exactly what memory is. It's a skill business for a commodity product. So J.R. Simplot saw their pitch. He's like, oh, I know this industry. This is just potatoes. And so he invested in it. And he passed away a long time ago, but at one point he owned 40% of Micron. But
that's wild.
Anyways, yeah, wild backstory, dude.
Welcome to another episode of Not Investment Advice. You got Trung Phan, Jack Butcher, Bilal Zaidi. Lads, lots to get through today. We got a hard stop as well. Let's let the people know what we're talking about. ChatGPT Ads. Our boy said it was going to be the last resort, but we're apparently here already. I want to get your take on that.
First resort.
Yeah, first resort. No, I do want to get your take on that. Memory stocks, we've been pushing it out a few weeks here. Micron is one of the big winners of last year.
Yeah, it's up like 300% since January 2025.
Definitely paper-handed it nicely early on.
Dude, you had some?
Yeah, I was silly,
bro.
Man. I was silly. But it's all right.
Okay,
you always we'll come back to that. We'll talk about paper-handed early sales in a bit. Then let's see if Trung wants to talk about it. It could be too close to home. BYD and the Canada situation. I mean, there's this tariff stuff with China and Canada. I honestly don't know much about it at all, but it is interesting to think about BYD, the car manufacturer from China.
Yeah, Canada made an agreement, a trade agreement with China, and we could. Yeah, we'll see how we are. But I got some good topics. I think these ad stuff is gonna juke. All right,
let's get it going. Let's get straight into ChatGPT.
Actually, you know what? Sorry, let's do this. We could also talk about the viral Ben Affleck, Matt Damon on the film. We should do that. Actually, let's skip that.
Let me add that in the.
I don't know. I mean, they went uber viral because every time these two guys talk about the business of film, they're obviously super articulate and smart. Yeah.
I didn't. They were on Rogan. I didn't listen to that.
Yeah, they're on Rogan. They did a tour because they have a new film out. Let's do that. We'll talk about that.
All right, we'll save that for the end. All right, cool. Let's go ChatGPT Ads. All I know about this is once upon a time, there's a famous clip of Sam Altman saying, someone asked him, would you do ads? And he said it would be a last resort. Now, obviously, there's lots of context missing there, but that's the frame for Not Investment Advice, all vibes, no facts. So what is the take here, lads?
Well, that's the problem when you do podcasts. You're going to get clipped and somebody is going to shove it back in your face. Jack, Jack is nodding. Dude, how many hours of podcasts has Sam Altman done in the last 3 years at this point? Probably 1,000 hours.
And I remember 1 minute, 2 30-second clips. Is that and the one where he was?
We talked about it. You were talking about it last week.
I'll buy it. I'll find you a buyer for your shares. Yeah, that was. Okay. I mean, but all jokes aside, that's the world we're living in, right? So, as a CEO of one of the biggest companies in the world, especially as a private company, you have to be aware of your perception is based on snippets. So that's unfortunately where
you're
the
right.
world
You're
is.
right. That's what media training is all about, right? That's why actually, as Bilal well knows, when you're doing really interviewing Creative Lab, how often could you tell when somebody was getting into a script? You're like, they would avoid your question, right?
Yeah. Well, the best is when a publicist would send you questions, right? Often, like if there's a book out or something, and then I would often use those as a base of stuff not to talk about. Because it's just like they're going to say the same stuff every single time, you know what I mean? So anyway, we can come back to that. But let's talk about what did they actually announce? Is this fully out there now? With they're
going to start trialing ads. And a key thing to note here is, so we've talked about her in the past, but basically she's the CEO of OpenAI at this point, right? She's a CEO of applications. That's what they say. sorry, I keep on getting her name wrong here. Fiji Simo. She basically ran the main Facebook Blue app, so the OG app, and then was a CEO of Instacart. So she's been at two places now where she's been able to ramp up digital ads, right? Obviously, Facebook's the second largest in the world after Google, and then Instacart, which we've actually talked about here in the past, but all these platforms, which Bilal can speak on, like Uber, Instacart, DoorDash, when you aggregate that much attention, you can sell ads against it, right? It's like, how often are you guys getting deal offers on Uber Eats notifications, right? And or Instacart. But the reason I bring all that up is, so they said they expect this year, 2026, a few billion. So let's call it two, right? They did 20 billion last year in subscription revenue. So they're very much in the Netflix phase of ads. They're not quite like, if we're going to use some comps here, YouTube is all ads, right? Basically 90% ads. They do some subscriptions. They're doing about 40 bill a year, right? Netflix is doing about 40 bill a year, but the large majority of that is subscriptions. So like OpenAI is trying to move, if we're to use the YouTube Netflix example, from a Netflix to a YouTube. And they have to do that because he's made 1.4 billion and 1.4 trillion commitments in data center spend. So I want Bilal to cook on this topic and obviously Jack's thoughts, but the other part I'll add is this. So they're trialing it, but I would expect in the long term, it would have to be ads. Just running a multi-$100 billion business on subscriptions, I think is a capped opportunity. It just is, right? Google's digital ads is over 350 bill a year. Facebook's 150 bill, and Amazon is almost at 100 bill.
That's crazy, right?
Dude,
incredible.
0 to 100 bill in a decade. Obviously, you're doing your shopping on the platform, so it's very, as Bilal talks about, it's bottom of the funnel. You're making the decision. But the other thing I'll note is this, and I'll leave it to you guys after this blog post that I mentioned from OpenAI. Sarah Fryer, the CFO of OpenAI, she used to be, I believe, CFO at Square. She might have even been CEO when Jack Dorsey kind of, whatever Jack was up to, growing his beard out. But the TLDR is she basically showed the charts for OpenAI revenue in the past 3 years. And it is almost correlated 1-to-1 with compute. So they basically went from 0.2 gigawatts, which is how the metric used to show how much data center compute you're doing, to 1.9 gigawatts. So that's about 10x. And revenue went from 2 billion to 20 billion. Same deal with year on year. 2024 went from 6 bill to 20 bill in revenue, so that's 3x. Compute went from 0.6 gigawatts to 1.9 gigawatts. So a lot of people on X were basically saying, like, why would you release this information? I think for her, they're trying to fundraise right now. They're trying to get a higher valuation than SpaceX because they obviously have some beef with Elon, and obviously they're already valued in the 750 range. But a lot of people think, they put out this blog post to demonstrate to potential investors is like, listen, we can get you guys basically 1-to-1 on the revenue, okay? If you just help us buy compute, we'll get the revenue, and then you'll get a multiple on that revenue. But let me leave that, and I want your guys' thoughts. Let's start with Bilal. This is his neighborhood. Bilal, talk through what you see as the digital ads opportunity for OpenAI.
Yeah, and I'm just going to also reference what they shared real quick. So just so we can be clear on what they actually announced and didn't announce. This is, they basically just said what matters most is responses in ChatGPT will not be influenced by ads. Ads are always separate and clearly labeled. Your conversations are private from advertisers. Plus, pro business enterprise tiers will not have ads, right? And then the main thing I want to show is an example because it's quite hard to see. Can you guys see that? So can you see the ad is at the bottom here? So Harvest groceries, there's some hot sauce in there. I'm assuming the question up there is about ideas for my dinner party. And so you can see that, you're going to sell carne asada, and on the bottom is hot sauce, right? So there's context there. And then lastly, I also want to share what Sam Altman said. He said, we're starting to test this. This I want to pull out. He said, an example of ads I like are on Instagram, where I found stuff I like that I otherwise never would have. We'll try to make ads ever more useful to users. Right. So that's quite interesting because my initial thoughts on this were, I'm just switching the view here, because I actually had a friend of mine who I think, I don't want to say what he does, but I think he may have some ties to them. So we were talking about the ads and he was asking my opinion as someone who's like run ads and worked in ads. And a lot, you can see there, right? Sam Altman references Instagram. I don't think that's just because he likes Instagram. I think they want to probably align themselves with, this is the, competition essentially. And the only thing I'll say is my main take was that I would compare this closer to Google than Meta. And the reason being, Google is like bottom of the funnel, especially search, and you're raising your hand to say, I'm already interested in X, Y, Z, Z. And so to me, that's the superpower of Google search, is that. And similarly here, OpenAI has that plus a lot more information, right? With the memory, we all know people using it as a life coach, as a therapist, as a joke. But, the amount of data they have on you, they can really do what's called like interest-based targeting or affinity, whatever you want to call it. So they have both keyword-based data, but they also have a lot of behavioral data on you. But again, so do Google and Meta, right? Like people think of Google as just a search term. They're not just using the search term. They also know you're logged into all these apps, right? So they understand what you're browsing, what you're watching on YouTube, all those different things go into the targeting. So yeah, that's my only big take, is that I do think it can probably work. Like if I was managing a budget right now, I would probably allocate 10, 20% within my budget of like test budgets, but 80% is not getting touched. Like the Meta and Google already works for most people.
Oh, so the ones that get Pinterest is dropped, X is definitely hasn't even started.
In my opinion, but it depends on the business. Some people are already tapped out. Like say they're at a certain scale, they're really just like, oh, we're already at scale where it's diminishing returns, So it just depends. If you're small, you might still, if you're small, I would still just start on Google and Meta because it's tried and tested, it works. The other thing is the example he shared there, the equivalent of that in Google is what's called Google Shopping ad. So, when you search for an actual product, all the shopping results are actually ads. They didn't used to be, they used to be free a long time ago. So, but that's like an actual product ad versus like we talk about the funnel, like upper funnel, mid funnel, bottom of the funnel. Google is mostly bottom of the funnel, but you also get, in the middle as well. As an example, saying what's the best place to travel in January is like mid funnel. You're still researching, versus best hotels in Barcelona in January. You already decided you're going probably, right? So you're slightly further down. Now, OpenAI can get all of that, right? Like if they position themselves well, they could say, look, we're getting people at that particular moment and we know more about them. But the proof is in the pudding with this sort of stuff. When people start to advertise, they will quickly see if it's working or not. And they will see if the numbers work. And if the numbers work, they're going to put more money into it.
So you expect a lot of people in your position will be allocating test 5 to 10 to 20%.
Yeah, if they've got that to spare. But it really just depends. Yeah, it depends on so much like how much you have to spend, where you are on the kind of efficiency curve, essentially. Like, are you already tapped out, like I was saying? Or if you're a brand new business, you're like, well, we've got lots of upside in the two biggest platforms that we haven't even used yet. But yeah, in general, if you're smart, you probably want to be testing it, right? Because it's probably growing over time. The only thing I'll say, Gemini, I think, is also going to do ads, right? Or doing ads. AI Overview already has ads. Exactly.
It started testing Q4. And then last week, actually 3 days before the OpenAI announcement, they released a new product in the AI mode. And I'm like, yo, these guys are going for it, right? It's like,
oh yeah.
Oh, it makes sense.
And Tron, the last thing, sorry, I know I said a lot there, but the last thing was why I wouldn't fully compare it to Instagram the way he is the big difference, like metric that you'd look at is time spent, right? So time spent in Instagram and YouTube and, social platforms, true social platforms is through the roof, like 4, 6, 8 hours a day. Some people, it's crazy, right? So
and OpenAI saying they're not like they don't want to come off as their farming engagement, but she comes from Facebook, but they say it in the announcement, right? They're like, we're not trying to get you to engagement farm, but let's get Jack's.
But it's also this will lead into Jack's take because it's also a visual thing, right? Instagram is primarily images and video, so that's just teeing up Jack, who's obviously the visual guy and advertising as well. So yeah, Jack, what's your take, mate?
Yeah, I think maybe the one differentiator, I think, the Google comparison is great. And then the interesting thing about these LLMs is like they get you to volunteer more information. And Google is like passing you off somewhere else, right? It's like a marketplace to pair you up with the other thing immediately. And then that thing is supposed to influence you. And Google is not like brokering the influence between. It is in a sense in the way it orders the results, but not after you leave Google.
Yeah, good point.
So I think that's kind of interesting is from an advertising perspective, the depth of context and like the way there are some interesting parallels with something like an Instagram, right? Where you are unconsciously directing it based on how long you spend on whatever video. It's sickening how good the Instagram ad algorithm is.
It's
disgustingly good. Like I've basically, until having kids, I was basically not like, I never really saw ads where I was like, oh, I love that. I need that thing. And then when you, for whatever reason, this has happened to me at least, is like, you're looking for answers to really specific questions. And then these products come up. It's like, how the, like, it's almost like it's reading your mind, the things that you're trying to figure out. And offering up all these different products. And then you buy one. And then the next day there's like, oh, here's one that's like 5% better than that. Here's a different angle at the same time.
Added an extra little feature.
You bought a banana slicer yesterday. Here's one that's 3% better.
Exactly. Well, I remember actually Celia when she was pregnant would be like on the phone at night, and you're like up at night, or the kids are awake at night, and just like browsing through that stuff, and it's like talking directly at you, like, this is what's happening to you. I have the exact solution brain, for you right now.
Is very open to buying stuff at that time, yeah.
And then I feel like the OpenAI stuff, the biggest question is like the privacy and the trust thing, right? Because it's like people have a very different relationship with that than they do to an Instagram or a Google. Like, even if you're volunteering information to that, you still view it as a utility of sorts. Like, you still sort of have but the relationship people have to like ChatGPT, for example, is like, in some cases it's like off the charts, like,
oh, definitely,
derangement, right? It's like, this is like, you ever see the picture? I think we talked about it. The guy on the tube who's like texting it, like, don't worry, man, you got this today. Like people have like become emotionally attached to these things.
Yeah.
To the degree that you would think like that could either play really aggressively well for them in what it recommends, or it breaks the illusion that this thing is like your friend. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, like the trust is broken because you're like, wait a minute, I told you that in confidence. Why are you showing me
this?
Yeah, exactly.
So
no, you're right. And I do think people have a negative feeling towards ads in general, including myself, most of the time. So it does create, and you've had this like time of using it ad free, and then you're going, but people also get used to stuff pretty quickly as well. So,
well, I also think like Instagram, and like why he is publicly like acknowledging that as a great ad product, it truly is like an unbelievable ad product, to the degree that you're like, the short form video thing too is also a very different medium for an ad, because it has to be entertaining, has to be interesting, like it flows with the content you're looking at, versus like, here's a billboard that's going up in your face in the middle of a conversation, which I think is also why the Twitter or Pinterest or whatever else hasn't been able to like flow it into the product in the same way that something like an Instagram has, or that Google is just like straight up, we don't even try the illusion that this is not a ad product. It's like, you're searching for something, here it is. Like
whole page is ads, basically.
Yeah, kind of like the honesty of that is kind of like the Big Short thing, right? It's like so transparent in your self-interest. I respect it, but my one big beef with Google is like, every year the amount of shit between like the direct search term and the like the literal thing you're looking for,
the normal content below the fold.
It's nuts that they've gotten away from that. Gotten away with that.
You search for Google, on Google.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like
It's
six
like the ninth
things.
result. Yeah.
Bing, like
Crazy.
fucking ass.
Yeah, that's
Jeeves.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be. That's one
It'll
of.
be funny to see how long that's because they've just like, oh, we can get away with bumping it another couple places.
No, it
down.
literally is like Ask Jeeves. I bet it's literally Ask Jeeves. I'm trying it right because
No,
they
but
were
hold on,
for a long
Bilal.
time a big
Bilal,
advertiser.
can I ask you?
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a meeting when people talk about that, where it's like, hey, when you look up Google, it's like the sixth thing down, or you look at YouTube, it's like the seventh thing down. Has that ever happened at Google? Did that ever?
No, because I don't know if it literally
time,
is,
yeah.
but you know what I mean. No,
It's
I mean
not. It's
definitely.
first, but DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
I'm
do you know
checking
what?
right
I've probably
now.
got ads off as well. Don't tell
I mean,
anyone.
there's
Let me tell-
crazy shit on there too, like APK Shopper, Google plugin, which is like,
I don't even know
What
what
is
that is.
that?
Yeah, boss.
Okay,
Like
no,
the-
Google's got it under control, guys. I searched for Google search and it's a top result. But hold on. I love what Jack said because I've heard that. I don't use Instagram because the last time I turned it on, the grid was just half naked chicks, and I'm like, I can't be dealing with this lizard. I have zero signals. They just know I'm a male.
Frank, what
and they
signals
use-
have you been given to the
No, that's the whole
platforms
point.
that
None.
you-
They just had the
Nonsense.
lizard
No,
brain.
you're right. By
Nonsense.
default, it starts with that because it knows it's going to work.
Dude, our boy George Mack talked about it. He's like, yo, I had to get Instagram off my phone, man. It's just like trying to lizard me. But Bilal, you use IG, but I'm sure your grid's not like mine. It's a very PG grid.
No, I mean, I definitely had to. No, all jokes aside, I train it a lot to be like, don't show me this. I'm trying to be
I
a
got
good
a
you
man.
know,
lady.
it has the actual algo configurator now. You seen that?
Oh, you're right. Yeah. You can go in and
look.
remove stuff, but it doesn't have thirst
I don't know if I
traps
should-
as a category. That's what they need to do. Honestly, if they gave an option for like, I'm obviously semi-joking about thirst trap, but like genuinely,
You can block it like PG mode. Yeah.
yeah, like if you not just PG mode, but like I don't want to see fights. I don't want to see conflicts. Like I don't really want to see news that much. And then, but over time, you're right, Jack. It's just so good at. It's such a micro. It's like what you're into at that moment, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just so.
Mine's great
Yeah.
at the moment. Land Rover
Bilal, have you
Defender,
bought
graphic
anything?
design, Ricky Gervais.
Ricky,
Yeah, well, yeah. There you go. Ricky Gervais on a heater recently as well, by the way. But Trung definitely have. But more so, I'll give a really good example. Is I already said we got engaged a few months ago, and then we were looking for a wedding photographer. Yeah, but not just a wedding photographer, but like specifically what we're doing. It's a New York thing. We wanted something for this courthouse day, like whatever. Then I'm strictly seen for like 8 on TikTok and Instagram for like a month, just photography from people, from like professional photographers that just do that day in the exact place that I'm going to, right? It's like courthouse in downtown Manhattan or whatever. And I'm like, man, it's just, and it really helped. We found the person that we went with through that because they were showcasing their work. It was so good. And then so that's more than just buying a pair of shoes, right? Like this is like a big purchase. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I can only imagine that with kids, man, like the specific needs that come up is like, you don't know it until you really need it, right? And it's like in the middle of the night, like you described, Jack, that's when you're tired, you can't
that's
sleep,
when
and you're like,
they're
that's
targeting
going to
you
save
with
me
the
right now.
snot sucker. What is the best
Exactly.
snot sucker on the market?
Yeah,
We got it. Doctor something. It's Dr. Snoz or something.
yo,
It's-
that's hilarious that you actually
know-
have one as well.
Do you remember the manual one, Trung? Do you ever
Oh,
get that one?
Dude,
Insane.
Wait,
Jack,
can you describe this? Because this is disgusting. I hope
Okay.
you're
No,
not
the one you get,
eating
like the
food
the
if you're
cheap-
listening to this, but
The cheap one you get, like, it's an amazing brand. What's it called? It's like a Swedish brand.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do
Oh,
it.
Frida Baby.
Frida Mum, Frida
Frida
Baby.
Oh, dude,
And they
it's
have this product
unbelievable.
where you put the nozzle up the baby's nose and then you suck on it and it pulls the snot out.
I gotta show
But what
this,
you're
dude.
doing by that is you're literally inhaling whatever the
Yo, that is
pathogen up
wild.
their nose
But
is.
hold on,
Yeah,
but
that's
Jack,
But you get sick the next day. But now
that's
they
why,
have
though.
motorized ones.
But Jack, you got to let's be fair to Frida Baby. That's why you got these filters here. Those little filter
they don't
thingies.
work. They don't work.
and there you go. This is the 3%
Allegedly,
upgrade
in my
that you said,
experience.
Frank.
Well,
Exactly.
You know-
You buy this, and then they go, okay, now serve him the automatic one. Give him the.
Oh,
actually,
man.
Jack, let's talk
Braille.
about the Frida Baby for a second. That is pure razor and blade model. They sell you the sucker, then they upsell you with those little things that Jack says doesn't work. They're supposed to block the phlegm. well, Jack's got obviously a little bit more experience than me at this point. I just went through that one time. But actually, Jack, let me tell you something. If you want to get real OG on it, the reason I was okay with the free to baby snot sucker is when I was living in Vietnam. Do you know how they used to suck this is what I saw. Relatives. And this might, it's an East Asian thing.
If you are eating right now, you better put your fork down just for a second.
The baby was crying, a little bit sick. Mom just grabbed her, went right up to the nose, sucked it out.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
man.
Come on. Sure,
Buddy,
that's wild.
No, that's it. I'm just saying, I'm not even against it, bro.
No,
they care about
it's an immune bolstering activity if done enough.
Yeah, exactly, bro. That's the thing.
No, I mean, you would do anything in those moments when...
Dude, to get your baby to stop crying, man.
Give it to me. I'll take every ailment there is.
Yeah. Jack, you probably remember from advertising, I forgot the phrase, it's like, it's like need versus want or whatever, or you probably both know it. You know, it's like, that's a need on another level. It's not like, I might want
this baby to stop
pair of
crying.
shoes
like, I
that
need
looks
it.
nice. This is like, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, the new LeBrons look nice. I want those. My baby's been crying for 6 hours. I need this to stop.
I take it back. ChatGPT Ads gonna own everything. They're gonna know that you need the sucker up ready for the baby.
Crazy, man. If they get medical, if they do it with the health thing too, that's the real money maker right there.
That's wild.
We didn't even talk about it, right? We
Here's
didn't
your
even talk
peptide stack.
Yeah, seriously.
Get those illegal Chinese peptides advertised.
So those healthcare companies
GLPs on there.
Start to transition from 70-year-olds only on TV to young generation.
Let me add two things, guys. Well, actually, so Bilal, you did answer the question I had, which is, has Instagram ever hyper-targeted you with a beautiful and perfect ad? And you answered yes.
Oh, definitely.
It got your ass. Okay, so Jack is definitely in that boat. He respects the IG targeting, which, as you said, OpenAI said that's where they're headed. Sam Altman specifically talked about it. He's like, yeah, I've been using IG and they got some good ads on that thing. So two things I'll add. Obviously, at least once a month here, Ben Thompson, he had a great insight about this. And I love your guys' thoughts because you've both advertised and used Shopify a lot. He went Shopify and Facebook, that combination, what it did was this. The merchant could hyper target the buyer, right? Like if you're a Shopify merchant and you need to find the exact demo, as Bilal knows, whatever, 30 years old, master's degree in the Northeast and likes ramen, you could find that, right? But what he said was that chat's doing actually the reverse, is because now the customer is so specific about what they want. So now you're doing the Facebook effect for advertising where you do these long tail niche markets. But now instead of the merchant finding the customer, it's the customer finding the merchant. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can get so specific with your ask and it'll find it for you. So that's like, it's flipping. I don't know if that appeals to I love your guys' thoughts on that.
Middle out,
yes.
Yeah.
So, is that an insight that's worthwhile or not really? Because that's what I thought was interesting.
I think I think so. I think it was a better articulation of what I was trying to say, which is like it's drawing you down these different paths. Like the model is so complementary to the ad in that situation where like they probably will present this publicly as not happening, but the thing that people will question and why the trust assumption is difficult is like, is the conversation being led in the direction of the more expensive or the highest bidding advertiser?
Oh yeah, that's a good
that would have to be the case, right? Like they're not be like, oh, anybody who pays X amount for whatever ad budget is going to get equal placement. That's not how the business model works whatsoever. To say that's disconnected from the search is ridiculous. And I noticed the language in that release. It said it will not be, what did it say? Something about responses. Responses won't be informed by... No, it's saying ChatGPT responses will not be informed by ads.
I'm thinking it's basically it's not
it says
gonna,
responses will not be influenced by ads.
I think that's a little bit of a dance, like legalese thing, because the reverse is true, right? It's like inputs are informing what you're getting served. Otherwise, you would ask a question about Barcelona and you get a pillow, or like they're obviously connected, but the degree to which like your responses are informing what they're showing is kind of a crazy statement to make, that they're not. What they're trying to say is that thing they showed you is not then influencing the next thing that you are shown, or it says back to you I think in it's the chat flow.
To me, it's like them trying to say they are, like in newspapers, like the content in a newspaper shouldn't be influenced by the ads. You know how like they normally have the Chinese wall or whatever. So they're basically saying like what you're getting in organic results equivalent in your responses from ChatGPT shouldn't be based on the ads you're clicking or whatever by ads. So that and I guess it's like the integrity of like, if a lot of the time you ask for a recommendation, what is the best, snot sucker for a kid, right? So you should get the ChatGPT response, and then you'll probably also get an ad, and it may or may not be the same as the recommendation. But that's what I guess people are not going to fully trust that, even if they are also keeping it separate.
I think that is like it's like the age-old debate about whether the phone is listening to you, right? It's like, we went here and we did this and we talked about this, and then I got that ad. It's like, no, they're just like, they don't even need your conversation to know you're going to say that, right? It's like, why has Amazon got the snot sucker in stock 3 days before you order it? Because they know you're going to order it already.
Yeah.
It's like a really bizarre thing to grapple with. But I mean, they claim, I don't know to what degree that's been actually audited or proven, but where people say like you were in proximity of your friend's phone and they searched for this thing and then they brought it up, but you never searched for it, so you didn't get shown it. But that's not even the set of variables that's influencing what you're being shown is not just what you search for on your phone. There's all these environmental factors that you can't calculate.
But Jack, also to the point about Instagram, the comparison, I 100% agree with everything you said. Like, they have basically all this amazing data that is very helpful and is great. But the big difference I was going to say is like the way you use Instagram is very different to even search, Google search, and to me, even ChatGPT or Gemini, because it's just like I said, the visual, it's like an ad format thing too. It's like that little banner that I showed earlier is a tiny little, it's not like an immersive vertical video taking over your phone with beautiful video. Do you know what I mean? So that is very different. And in traditional advertising terms, you talk about like sight, sound, emotion, right? Like you would have done this in your creative work. It's like TV used to be the king because you got all of the senses being hit. And in this case, a little banner that says get hot sauce is nowhere near the same as look at this beautifully designed thing of hot sauce and like it's dripping and you've got a celebrity playing with it, whatever. So to me, there is an element of like the storytelling element of ads. You don't, it's so dependent on the ad format too. That example they shared looks like a Google shopping ad to me. It's like, it's like informative. It's like the title, a thumbnail, price probably. Oh, you can buy this in your Target nearby.
Just like
or
hitting
Walmart.
you the SKU, basically.
A SKU, yeah.
Not,
in that one
you're
example.
This type of person and this is going on in your life and you need this.
But I'm sure they're going to expand this to all sorts of formats. Like you can imagine travel-specific formats, finance formats, where you've got credit card comparison happening within ChatGPT, mortgages.
The clicks on those CCs, bro.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, lawyers, you can imagine on there.
Bilal,
like
have you run a campaign for a credit card company ever?
I did a long time ago, yeah.
NDA, but they were paying for clicks.
Crazy. The clicks.
Oh, that place for stupid.
Finance.
No, what's the expected LTV on a credit card?
Oh, LTV, I don't remember, honestly, but the clicks I just remember were crazy high because certain, like for a mortgage, I remember doing it for a bank like a long time ago, and it was like, think how much they're going to make, right? They're going to make hundreds of thousands over many years, 30 years from a mortgage from you. So if the cost per click for one visit, if you paid $50 for someone, it's not crazy, right? Like you get 100 of those people, 3% of them convert, you've made your money back or whatever. So maybe that was a bit high, it's probably a little bit less than that. But or like lawyers was always the one that's crazy. It's like someone in like divorce lawyer now, like divorce lawyer near me right now, like you're in a rush. You know what I mean? You're in a panic state. You think of the mindset of the person. So Yeah, I see a lot of the summary is I see lots of potential for them. I hope it works out for them. But my personal thing is just time spent on a device where you're browsing and looking. Like a lot of people spend money on Instagram. Like think of like high-end fashion brands, luxury watches, like that stuff. You're doing it because you've got that's a Vogue ad that's interactive. You know what I mean? Versus a little snippet of buy this watch. Like it's not the same. Imagine like a little Rolex watch in that ad format. It's not as nice as this beautiful production that you're seeing immersed in your phone. So yeah, you guys, I can stop there, but yeah, definitely.
No, I know we're running up on time. I want to talk about the ChatGPT Health. We'll pause that. We should keep that. But I guess we did talk about it with Frida Nose Sucker.
Yeah, we got in there.
We not health advice, not parenting advice.
Yeah, learning a lot from you guys here. That was great.
Let's talk about the DRAM stuff. So I want to talk
DRAM,
to Bilal
so
first.
memory stocks, right?
Memory stocks. So just for the listeners, not investment advice this segment, but 4 of the top 5 performing stocks in 2025 were related to AI data centers, memory or storage stocks. So Western Digital, Sandisk, Micron, and then you go over to South Korea. So they had the number 1 performing global country index last year. They're up 75%, I think. Half of those gains were due to 2 companies, Samsung and SK Hynix, because memory was the bottleneck for the AI data centers. But we need to talk to Bilal. When did you get into Micron? Why did you paper hand it?
I've probably heard it on a pod and I was like, oh, that sounds like good. You know, that's like, I generally have a rule of not buying individual stocks, but I was like, no, it makes sense. So,
Bilal,
I still it was up a little bit, but not much. Was it all in?
It's Gavin Baker.
Gavin Baker,
he said that Micron would be the top performer.
He was right. And I'm like, what did he say for 2026? Because I might listen to this guy.
He didn't jump on, but just give guys an idea. This year, the top performing stock in the S&P 500 is again Sandisk. It's up 90% in 3 weeks. So that stock was up 300%. I do not have any Sandisk. Please don't come knocking on my door. I got nothing.
Sandisk in the NASDAQ, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. This is why you buy
it's definitely S&P 500.
lads. Because who's going to predict Sandisk? You know what I mean?
Dude, not even Gavin Baker did, man. He called out the different type of memory. But the reason I bring all this up is because, did you guys see the Micron announcement on Friday?
You said they were building out something in New York or something?
This is your hood, Bilal. They broke ground on what will be the largest, this is on the memory side, but semiconductor-related plant in all of America. It's 4 600,000 square foot fabs. It'll be $100 billion. And what I wanted to talk specifically about the DRAM market and high bandwidth memory, which is the specific AI segment, is do any of you guys do any gaming?
Not anymore, no. Used to a little bit, and then...
Have you guys seen the memes that's been going around about people trying to buy RAM online? And the RAM prices,
the same thing as the graphics cards just down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
But so since April of last year, the price for I think it's DDM4, which is the main RAM in phones and PCs, is up 14x.
Sandisk is up 1,000% in the last 6 months.
Could you explain what the role of these guys are in the ecosystem? Because I honestly don't even fully know. And we don't have to get too technical. If DRAM is dynamic RAM, I take it, yeah?
Yeah, just the TLDR with RAM is that when you're running these large language models, you have to be able to sort, like the context windows are X amount, right? Whatever, call it 200,000 tokens. They still need to draw memory from, previous conversations, and they need to hold all these tokens in state while it's happening. So you obviously need memory. We've always needed memory, right? But the problem, I'll tell you specifically why it's going 14x. I'll show you guys this chart, which is just absolutely bananas. This is what it felt like owning NFTs in back in 2021. Look at that. That's the price of DDR4 RAM.
Look at that, boy. Jesus
14
Christmas.
times.
Wow.
So the reason, there's a couple of reasons why it's happening, but I'll give you guys, to your point, Bilal, I'll give you like the surface level is so high bandwidth memory can do more throughput and is more energy efficient, right? And these are important for the AI data centers because, as we've talked on this podcast a lot, unlike traditional software, there is marginal cost to every query from an LLM, right? And a chat bot. So you want to be energy efficient and you want to have higher throughput. So each token costs less per watt. That's kind of like the performance per watt is kind of like how people are measuring this. And the problem that's come up is, so high bandwidth memory is more energy efficient and more throughput. And it's meant for AI data centers. So the problem is that high bandwidth memory is basically just 3 DRAM chips stacked together. So there's simple math. There's a finite amount of supply of DRAM. A bunch of them are just getting taken, stacked together, and sold to AI data centers instead of, guys like us who used to buy gaming rigs. So that's blowing the prices out. And like DRAM, the price, this individual DRAM that I just talked about, that's about 20 to 40% of a smartphone, gaming rig, PC. So these prices are now going to go up. Apple apparently secured themselves 3 to 4 years of the right RAM. So they're going to be able to control costs on the iPhone. But here's the other part about the high bandwidth memory. So 2 parts. It is needed for AI data centers. So that's a much bigger market than obviously consumer hardware. It is now anyways. It's higher margin. It's 50% margin for HBM versus 35% for DDR4. And basically Micron, which we just talked about the fab, they started in Idaho. They got an incredible backstory, by the way. So for the listeners, that I wrote an article about it, but it's about the founding investor in Micron. The reason it's founded in Idaho was the 2 brother founders wanted to start a chip company because they saw Japan was crushing it, and they lived in Idaho. And when you want to raise money in Idaho, you have to go to the richest people in Idaho, and they're all farmers. So they went to one of the largest potato farmers in the world.
I was going to say as a joke, but legit potato farmer. That's incredible.
J.R. Simplot. This guy at one point supplied a third of McDonald's potatoes. So in his 70s, but I'll give you guys the insane insight he made. Potato farming is a skill business for a commodity product. That's exactly what memory is. It's a skill business for a commodity product. So J.R. Simplot saw their pitch. He's like, oh, I know this industry. This is just fucking potatoes. And so he invested in it. And he passed away a long time ago. But at one point, he owned 40% of Micron. But
that's wild.
anyways,
wow.
Yeah, wild backstory.
That's the most Trung write-up I ever. The second part to that is the potato farming breakdown we need to get from Trung at some point.
Yeah, we'll do that at
how
one point.
Idaho became the potato place, you know what I mean?
Like a great farmland. But let me cap it off with this.
That might be the answer. Yeah, go ahead.
By 2030, it's estimated that high bandwidth memory will make up 50% of the entire DRAM market. It's at 10% now. So basically consumer electronics are about to get completely clapped. Yeah, not investment advice. So there you guys go. There's the breakdown.
Is there a historic parallel for that outside of the AI GPU stuff?
What do you mean?
Like outside of NVIDIA,
like a sector, like a sector that was, selling consumer goods at some price until there was some industrial application found for it and it just went parabolic. Is there another example of that? Maybe I'll ask ChatGPT.
Yeah, nothing as good as potato, I can tell you.
Unbelievable though.
That is crazy.
I mean, I think it's kind of, I have to think about this a little bit more, but it is like a very interesting premise that we basically have just been undervaluing compute in general. Like we would take for granted this like insane thing that has been pulled out of sand, silicon that can think has like been insanely underpriced, even at what people think of as obscene valuations. It's like, no, this is like superhuman alien technology and it's underpriced by an order of magnitude. And you should never have been able to buy one for your house.
What, like an AI for your house?
No, I'm saying like the lack of discovery.
Quake, you mean?
The lack of discovery of this thing at this scale has been like wrongly directing these companies to build for consumers when the real thing is going to be like, a screen in your house with a Starlink going up to a satellite and all the compute is going to be on a potato farm. The fact that you are individually running compute is crazy, right?
It's insane. It's insane.
And that will be like looked back at as extremely inefficient way for you to use
Potatoes.
Exactly. Land.
Trung, I know we got a cut in a second.
I know Jack's got a cut. Well, I can run the Matt Damon stuff. I know Jack's got a cut.
Yeah, all right, cool.
It's elegant time Jack. To jump off.
The
boys.
last
Thank
time last question I was going to ask, Chamath's pick, whatever you think of his picks, because we know that's gone both ways. Multiple times.
He's back in Golden Boy.
I mean,
he's
Golden Boy now. Yeah, after making that big boy sale, which respect. But his takes are not investment advice, obviously. But his pick for the year was copper. Did you listen to this?
Yeah, I saw that.
And so that was on a tear it was actually pretty flat for several years. But then I think in the last year or whatever, it's probably popped off. Also because of AI infrastructure, you obviously need copper in data centers. And if there's going to be more data centers, that was the TLDR on it, from my understanding. Is that something you looked into as well, either of you, and curious? Because it's kind of related, right?
Which part specifically the data
center? Copper, as a...
Oh, yeah. No, I can't speak a lot to this, but yeah, it's the you ever heard of the term Dr. Copper? It's always been, the idea is copper has always been the metal closely linked to global industrial production, in the sense that you follow if copper's ripping, it's because there's a lot of industrial activity. So the last super cycle is when China was really growing and building out. And obviously now it's going to happen again because of a lot of AI data centers, just all the electricity stuff that require it. But this is also why you guys know that cars are getting absolutely, this has been going for a decade, right? Certain neighborhoods, if you got certain copper parts on your vehicle, it's getting snatched.
Okay, yeah.
Is copper the catch-up trade, Trung? Not investment advice.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it's of the metals. I mean, it's obviously not a precious metal, but gold had a run. Silver's
been on a crazy tear as well.
Unbelievable tear.
Silver up 208%, gold up 73% this year, copper up 35%.
Yeah, it's not. I can't give investment advice, guys, but it is interesting. We should do a metals episode. We should do one.
That'd be sick, man. We should get an expert.
Yeah,
we should get a metals ad. Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Sick.
Okay,
we'll just go down to 47th Street, Jack. Go to the guy selling out those clean little rings. Yo, have you guys watched? Have you seen those videos, by the way, of people lining up to melt their gold and all that stuff? There's lines around the block, in New York. I saw when gold hit all-time high recently, silver also. I mean, honestly, not a bad shout.
Today, I think gold hit another all-time high today.
Yeah, crazy. Silver is.
All right, boys.
All right, nice to see you, Jack. Thanks for jumping on. Trung, why don't we just finish off with?
Yeah.
I do want to hear the Ben. Did you want to say anything about BYD at all? Even a TLDR on it?
No, because that's worthwhile. That's worth.
All right, we can save it. Let's save that maybe next week or something. But what happened with Ben Affleck? What's been going on?
So they got a new movie on Netflix called The Rip.
Is it already out?
Yeah, it's out, dude. It looks sick. I'm actually going to watch it.
This.
I usually don't watch a lot of these Netflix action movies because they kind of suck. But I love Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
They're the best, man.
And Tiana Taylor's in it. We talked about
What's
Tiana
the favorite?
Taylor week.
Good Will Hunting, obviously.
Good Will Hunting. Hundo.
I've seen Good Will Hunting probably as much as any other film. I love it so much.
It's up there for me too. It is one of my goat, especially
that and Goodfellas. Ones you can just play, what's going to happen, but it's great.
Did you watch a lot of Rounders? The gambling
Do you know what?
movie?
I've watched Rounders, but I haven't watched at the same level as that. Not the same.
Okay,
I should rewatch it. I haven't watched it
Matt
recently.
Damon also in the late 90s when he was coming up. But a couple of things I'll know. I'll just do 3 things for the listeners. So, as we know in communications, you give numbers, it's easier to manage your time. So I'll say 3 things. The 3 things I'll talk about are the very interesting funding they did for this film. They're going to try to give a cast upside. So cast and crew upside, which is unheard of for Netflix. That's number 1. Number 2 is they talked about filming a Netflix film and how it impacted their way to make films. Netflix had some very specific asks. And then third thing is Ben Affleck went off on AI, so we can that's kind of a viral moment.
I watched that I saw a clip. He actually sounded like he knew more than most people, which was great to hear. He's a real smart guy. I mean, didn't one of them go to Harvard or both of them? Or did
Matt Damon went to Harvard.
He's a smart dude, obviously.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
but
smart
Ben
guy.
Affleck also, I've heard a few
I
clips
mean,
with
these
him, but
guys won Best Original Screenplay for Good Will Hunting in their early 20s. Like
It's
they're
crazy.
monsters.
Incredible.
So
But yeah,
I'll talk
keep
about
going.
the film The Rip, which apparently me and Bilal might watch now. But so Netflix, the big criticism of Netflix, they don't do a lot of upside. I think we've talked about this, right? Like they'll buy a project up front. So I'll give you a dummy example. Like we all know Seinfeld, billionaire now, because back in the 90s, when you made a TV show, you get a lot of back end, right? You get residuals. So if your TV show finished a season and 5 years later it was running on some network at some affiliate television station, they'd have to pay back, and then you'd get money like once a week. You get a check. That's how Seinfeld became a billionaire, right? But in the Netflix era, Netflix wants to control costs. So what they actually did was they just went to a lot of these top creators and like, we will give you a big fat bag of money up front, but there's basically no back end. It's like there's no performance. It kind of ruined filmmaking and TV making in the sense of like you actually have no incentive to make a good product. Not to say that you wouldn't, but the incentive's gone, financial. It's like they already gave you the bag, right? And they're like, okay, just make it. But if this becomes the greatest thing ever, the most viewed thing ever, you're gonna get no upside from it, right? It's like that's it. This is the agreement. So Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, I think the company's called Artist Equity. They went to Netflix and said, we want a formula based on you guys can come up with something, but how well has a action movie with 100 million budget done in the past? How many 100 millions of hours of viewing time has it done? And then if we hit certain milestones, I want you to pay out cast and crew, which is amazing. So they went to them with that.
Respect.
Yeah, and for Netflix, this is a big deal though, because Netflix is always trying to buy Warner Brothers. And actually this morning, they changed their deal from a 75% cash and 25% stock to all cash. That was one of the biggest criticisms that the other competing party, Paramount, was making. But they've also come out and tried to be more Hollywood friendly. So this is a Hollywood friendly deal. They're basically saying streaming era, but upside like old Hollywood. And then Ted Sarandos, Netflix co-CEO, recently said, we're actually if we buy Warner, we're gonna leave the 45-day theater window. People were worried that they make it 15 days and send it straight to streaming. The exhibitors did. So there's that thing, super interesting, see how this plays out for them. But Ben Affleck and Matt Damon on the Up in Smoke podcast and Rogan talked about this. But they're like, if this works, it's a model for someone else. Now, the second part, this is amazing. Matt Damon, it's crazy because they do this film, they go on this press tour, and they're basically just kind of shitting on the Netflix model. And Matt Damon's like, yeah, so the typical way you make an action film is you have one big fight scene in each act. So act 1, act 2, act 3. And each one builds up until obviously the climax has a massive fight scene, right? This is the traditional way to do films. But because Netflix needs to suck someone in the first 5-10 minutes, Bilal, how many films have you dropped?
It's hard. Yeah. I mean,
right?
To be honest, with Netflix, I usually look it up first because most of them are not that good. And I kind of know from the IMDb if it's even worth trying. Like, I'll try a 6 point something. It's fine. But if it's a 4.2, I'm like, probably not going to like this. Right.
But like, even if you, so the argument they're making, one of the biggest things for Netflix, as you probably know from engagement, are people dropping off in the first 5-10 minutes, right?
Oh, got it.
So instead of ramping up action films, you hook you with a giant action scene at the beginning, which, I mean, cool. It's happened before. Dark Knight, it happened. The Town, a Ben Affleck crime movie, it happened. But that means you're putting all your eggs, most of your eggs, the action eggs, in that first basket. So as a traditional film, you may not get the same payoff, right?
The formula,
and then they also asked him, this was the quote that got clipped. They asked him like, hey, 3-4 times later in the film, can you like just reiterate the plot for the listeners that are like watching on their phone, like double screening? Oh, that's
interesting.
Right? So like you're changing filmmaking.
It's like a checkpoint to be like, oh, you were distracted, but here's a recap of what happened.
Which is like, I get that, but
that's a bit annoying as a filmmaker.
Exactly, right? And if you watch
especially
that,
if you know, like watching it, like you said, you're good. It's like
exactly. If you imagine you watched it full focus for 2 hours, and they keep reminding you, yo, what the hell is going on? It's like
watching,
right?
Like when you watch a series and then the first 30 seconds a recap of last episode, but it's for the same film you're watching. That's annoying.
As it's happening, right? So it's so crazy how much culture is downstream of economics, right? And like this is the same as music with TikTok. The TikTok effect changed songs, made them shorter. Chorus happened earlier, right? Like before you'd lead up to the chorus. It might be 45 seconds in. Some songs, a lot of songs now, they just start with the chorus because it's 2 minutes long. And but anyways, they but I'll end with this. We don't even need to talk about AI. That's a whole nother can of worms. So I'll end with Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. They're realistic about it. They're like, listen, this is a supply and demand issue. These things are not ideal as an artist, but guess what? There's 300 million people on Netflix, and a lot of them just want to watch while they're looking at another screen.
Yeah, fair enough. They're adapting to
exactly.
Well, because that's one. The cynical take is, oh, you're having to do this formula because of Netflix, and like the umbrella of technology is taking over and the short form, blah blah blah, which is true. But also, it's like things have always adjusted over time. So, for example, watch a 90s movie. If you watch a 90s movie now, man, the first 4 minutes is like credits, them going through some old scene. And I'm like, how? I can't believe we used to watch that. Well, I mean, it's great that people had their attention span.
It's like the skip intro button, right?
Yeah,
like before the skip intro button, you'd have to watch the whole Game of Thrones intro, which was amazing.
Which is cool in a way, but I understand now why, there's films, there's YouTube, 10, 15 minutes, then there's shorts and TikTok videos. And it's funny, annoyingly on YouTube now, like on my phone, on the top, they basically just show shorts. Like I often go to YouTube, like when I brick my phone, we talked about like where I take social media off it temporarily, I try. I don't do that for YouTube. And one of the reasons is I don't mind watching a 10, 15 minute video versus like a minute video, 30 seconds. But now you go on YouTube and it's like short as well. So you kind of get sucked into the same thing.
Well, dude, I saw an amazing tweet. Yeah. Let's end with this, exactly to your point. Some guys like, if I could pay $10 more a month for YouTube Premium not to see any shorts, I'd do it.
Yeah, that's right? I get it, man. No, there's it's kind of like we were saying about the algorithm, to be able to train it and to say, give me a PG, or not even PG, but just like, I don't want to have just a bunch of fights and crazy stuff happening on there. And I think after a while, if you train it gets better, but it's once in a while it hit you on there.
No, dude, we talked about it. It's a lizard brain. People, let's end with this.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of this lizard brain stuff. We'll, great chatting. We'll see you guys next week.
There you go. That's it. That is life advice. There you go. All right, everyone. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right. Peace.